So the next sweet treat I've got to show you is some little mini Battenburg slices. Now, Battenburg isn't my favourite, I will admit, but my mum loves it. So I've made these double thick pieces so she gets plenty of marzipan. Again, they don't need many beads, so you're going to need 16 of the orange. I'm using DB 2103. You're going to need 16 in the pink, so I'm using DB 2116. And then you're going to need approximately 40 of the marzipan colour, plus if you want to add a hanging loop, then you'll need a few extra for that. And I'm using DB 732. The Battenburg is made using square stitch, so if you need to go and have a quick refresher, you can go and find the square stitch primer on our YouTube channel and then come back when you're feeling a bit more confident. But honestly, these are so quick and easy. I don't think anybody's going to have a problem with them. I've got 1.5 meters of Nymo D threaded onto a size 10 needle, and I've tied a caper bead around about 10-15 centimetres from the end of the thread. That's just going to give me something to hold on to while I'm working the first couple of rows. The Battenburg slice is worked lengthways and then folded in half. So essentially what you're going to stitch is a long piece like this, and then you're going to fold it in half. But what you need to do is make sure that the colours match so that when you fold it in half, it looks like a cake slice, and you've got the orange on this corner and the orange on this corner and vice versa. So again, you can use any combination of colours you like. I've spent enough years watching the Bake Off to know that you can get Battenbergs in many different variations. So you could use brown and orange and do a chocolate orange flavour Battenberg, or anything else you like. What we're going to do is we're going to start by picking up 4 of our marzipan, our cream delicas, and we're going to pick up 1 of the pink delicas. I'm going to bring those down to the caper bead, and we're going to pass through the last of the cream delicas and that pink delica in the same direction as before a second time, and that is essentially our square stitch. Now again, we haven't got very much to hold on to here, so this first row is a bit fiddly, but we'll make it work. We're going to pick up another pink bead, and we're going to go through the next cream bead back, and then through that pink bead that we've just put on. There. Now it might look a bit wobbly at this stage, don't worry about that, we will neaten it up shortly. We're going to pick up an orange bead and go through the next cream bead back, and then we're going to come back through that orange one, and then we're going to pick up a final orange and go through the last cream bead, which is the first one that we picked up, and back through that orange one. So there you can see, hopefully, that we've got 2 rows of beads sitting side by side. We've got the cream row, and then we've got a row that's got 2 pink and 2 orange. Now to firm this up and make it nice and sturdy, we're going to come all the way back through those cream beads we've just added, and then back through the pink and orange, and that will make it nice and neat and straight. So we're going to work back up this row again, and we're going to pick up, this time we're going to do 2 orange and then 2 pink, so that we've got our little squares of cake. So there's 1 and 2. Okay, thread's just got twisted there, so just get rid of that loop. So that's 2 orange, and then 2 pink, So through there, and again come back through the previous row and up through the row we've just finished. And this time we're going to start by picking up 2 orange and then 2 pink to make the second half of your Battenburg square. Got the thread around my fingers there. And then 2 pink. He doesn't want to come. And then again, reinforce. And then we're going to again add 2 pink. And 2 orange. And then reinforce. And then we're going to add a second row of the cream beads for the marzipan. And we're actually going to add 2 rows here, one after the other. And then reinforce. And what you can see there is we've essentially got the first half of the Battenburg slice done. We will put the marzipan on the sides soon, don't worry about that. So essentially what we're going to do now is we're going to make this second half of the Battenburg by making another piece that's the mirror image of this one. So we'll have a pink and an orange and a pink square. So we'll just keep going until we get to the other end. So I'm going to start with another row of the cream. Okay, so just reinforce that last row of stitching there. So as you can see there, we've got a nice long piece of Battenburg. The beads are nice and secure now, so I'm actually going to remove this keeper bead because it's going to make the next step a little bit easier. What we're going to do is we're going to fold our beadwork in half so that the two outer edges sit side by side. And then I'm going to square stitch across these two rows to join them together. So we'll go down, whoops, whoop. It's a little bit fiddly, depending on how tight your tension is as well. The tighter your tension is, the closer the beads sit together, which is sort of what we want. We don't want to see the gaps, but it does make finding the bit between the beads a little bit tricky. And then again, we'll just reinforce this last row. There we go. And now we'll add the marzipan down the side of the cake. We're going to do this one side at a time. So we'll do this side, the bottom, and then we'll turn it over and we'll add the second side there. I'm going to start and I'm going to pick up 4 beads, 4 of the cream. And then I'm going to take my needle down through that orange bead that's just to the, as I'm looking at it, to the left of the centre. And then I'm going to go up through the pink bead. There, and then just back through that last cream bead that we've put on. So that's sort of square stitched across the gap. And then I'm going to pick up 3 more of the cream beads, and I'm going to come down through those 4 beads on the end of the Battenburg. And there you can see we've got our first side of marzipan in place. Turn it round, and we're going to do the same thing on this side. So let's just move that start thread out of the way. So again, pick up 4, come down through the orange, up through the pink, and then through the cream bead on the edge again. We'll pick up 3, and come down, and then we're just going to run the needle and thread through all of those beads a second time, just to make them nice and firm, make them all connected and make it look a little bit smoother. The beads on the corners will sit at an angle. That's absolutely fine. You don't need them sitting perfectly straight. So I'll just run through. There's one. That's two. There's three. And four. Okay, now as you can see, that's still sliding slightly from side to side. We are going to fix that when we do this second side of marzipan. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the work over and we're going to come up through the other row of beads on this end of the Battenburg slice. So we're going to come up through those 4 beads. And we're going to start in the same way on this side here. So we're going to pick up 4. And we're going to go, this time it's down through pink. And up through the orange. And now this time what we're going to do is we're going to pass through that cream bead. But we're going to make a square stitch to attach it to the cream bead, the centre cream bead on the row behind. So just take your time, go through that bead, make sure your thread doesn't get caught anywhere, and back through. So essentially what we've done this time is we've square stitched this row to here, and then we've stitched it this way as well. So that's now not going to move anywhere. So we'll pick up the remaining 3 beads for this side and come through the end. There. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. So we're going to pick up 4. Down through the beads either side of the centre line. So, right, my thread's starting to get a little bit twisted here. So this is where it's going to want to start to form a knot. So just take the time to pull that through. Then what you can do is if you just hold your beadwork in your, well, I'm going to hold it in my left hand because I'm right-handed, and I'm just going to run the thread through my thumb and forefinger, and what it actually does is it takes the twist out up to the needle. Then skip past your needle and run the twist off the end, and that will make it a bit more easy to work. So where did we get to? Oh, shy marzipan. So there's the 4th bead just tucking inside there. Now that's a good point actually. What you can do at this point, because you've got yourself like a little pocket, very little pocket this way, is if you want to make something that's a little bit more dimensional, a little bit puffy, you could just drop a size 6 seed bead into that gap, and that'll give you a little bit more dimension. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend a bright red one inside this piece of beadwork, but it's what I've got on the mat, so it will do for demonstration purposes. So depending on how you're going to use your slice of Battenburg. There we go. You can see there now that that one, although it's not finished, has got more of a tummy on it than this one has. So this one's pre-batten, pre-lockdown, and then this one's post-lockdown with a little bit of a belly. So if you want to make your work a little bit puffier, anything that you've got that's 2 flat pieces that are stitched together, you can just pop a bead inside like that, and make it a little more rounded. For what I'm intending to do with this Battenburg, I am actually going to leave it to sit flat, but it's just something to mention while we're stitching. So again, I need to come get the right thread up through the orange there. And then back through that cream. We just tell it where we want it to sit there. And then again, we're going to stitch it to the central bead on that row behind. Back through that one there. And then we're going to pick up 3 more cream and come round. Now, as we're reinforcing round this time, what we're going to do is we're just going to stitch the corners together as well, just to give it a little bit more stability. So the same as we've just done on the side, so just a square stitch through and then through all the beads. And you can see how this makes it neater and firmer all in one pass. That's the second corner. And there's the third corner. And then the final edge. There. So there's our Battenburg square. Of course, you can make this bigger if you wanted to, if you've got somebody who really likes Battenburg. If you did a 4 by 4 square 4 times, then you could make a giant piece. You could add a row of red beads across the centre if you wanted to make it look like you've got jam. Again, there's all the colour variations that you can go with. You could make a pair of really dinky ones in size 15s if you want to. Just be aware that as you start reinforcing, it's going to get very tight, so you will need to use a finer needle there. I'm actually going to leave the tail thread, sorry, not the tail thread, the beginning thread, so that's the one that the keeper bead was on, because I'm not sure yet whether I want to attach a loop, a hanging loop to the corner of the work, where I've not decided on the final placement as yet. So I'm just going to finish off this working thread and leave the tail thread attached, just to give me a few more options a bit further down the line. So we'll just tie a knot there and through another couple of beads. These beads along this edge here are starting to get quite full of thread, so if your needle won't go through easily, then please don't force it, because that's the way beads get broken, and that's the way beaders end up in tears. So we'll just tie another knot on this side, just there, and through another couple of beads. Never trim your tail off right next to the knot, because that's how knots come undone. So I shall trim that tail. As I said, I'm going to leave the working thread on this other end. If you want to finish it off, then just do so in the same way as I've just done there. But there we have it. There's your little Battenburg slice. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do decide to make a piece, then just feel free to share it on our social media. You can find us online at Facebook and on Instagram. If you use the hashtag MadeItWithSpellbound, we'll find your work.